Judge Blowy did reduce the conditions of bail, that is the non-financial conditions. I'm disappointed that he didn't completely remove the GPS. Therefore, I will be going back to the appellate court. There was absolutely no reason given by the state that she poses either a danger to anyone in the world or that she's a flight risk. Therefore, I continue to believe that those conditions are unnecessary and in fact unconstitutional. Now, the judge is issuing a written memorandum. He may in fact reduce the restrictions even more. At least she doesn't have to report to any probation officer, which I always maintained was illegal. She's not on probation. She's innocent of any charges, and therefore requiring anyone to report to probation and have to have weekly meetings either by telephone or in person is unlawful. I will be filing within the next 10 to 14 days a motion for review to the appellate court, asking that court to review whether or not the additional conditions are necessary. Unfortunately, this is baby steps. We move forward bit by bit. And from that perspective, I'll just be plugging along till we end this situation and Michelle is exonerated. I'm just going to say one other thing. Attorney Colangelo brought up and made an accusation which was utterly false, that I had somehow violated some kind of court order by allowing members of the media to see documents that I filed with the court. I will state categorically, if something is filed with the court and it's not otherwise privileged or protected, the state or the police do not have the right to keep the public from knowing that. I am not simply disclosing information that has been given to me that I have to keep in confidence. This was information given to the judge on Monday after it was given to the court and to the state's attorney's office. It was released publicly. If the state wants to file a motion requiring all of you to have to walk into the clerk's office and individually take pictures of every page of every document that I have filed, so be it. But until he does that, I intend to continue to make public what I can, when I can, and it's all within the course of the law, and there is nothing improper about it. I just don't know why the state continues to try and hide information from me and my client. And I will keep moving ahead till I get all of that information. Thank you very much.
Counselor, what do you make of the state's attorneys asking for sanctions? Do you think he's trying to silence you? I mean, these are public records, as you point out.
I don't want to, whether he's trying to silence me or not, that isn't going to happen. So if that's the way Mr. Colangelo intends to operate as the new chief state's attorney, he's going to have a very rough ride in that role. I have always gotten along and have always had a good, cordial relationship with the state's attorneys in all of the districts around the state, including, I want to emphasize, including when Mr. Colangelo was here as the state's attorney. Now he's the chief state's attorney. I believe that it was solely done as a stunt, and I'm not going to fall for it. It's certainly not going to silence me.
Attorney Schoenhorn, how important was it for you to release the full video of the images on Albany Avenue and in Hartford?
When you say the videos are hours long. It is very clear that if I want to file something in the court, I have to do it in small video files of 20 megabytes or less at a time. The fact of the matter is there are over 30 videos. It's just showing traffic going by. It does not, I want to emphasize, does not show either any stops by Fotis Doulos or, more importantly, my client doing anything to assist in that. I'm hoping, I was just given a bunch of documents today, I'm hoping that at least it includes the DNA material. If it does, and it says what I think it does, I will be filing a motion including that information in that particular, with that information. And unless Mr. Colangelo files some kind of a protective order, I will make sure that is available to each and every one of you. Thank you.
The clip that you filed of Ms. Troconis' interview with the state police in August of 2019, What's the significance of that clip?
Well, it wasn't what you put it on TV about. The purpose was to show that in the third warrant, the detective claimed that when Ms. Troconis said she was handed a piece of paper towel that Mr. Doulos had used allegedly to clean the seat inside the Tacoma, that she said, and this is in the warrant, that she said it did not smell like coffee. Now, if the purpose of that was to suggest, well, if it doesn't smell like coffee, it must have smelled like something odd, such as, I don't know, blood, then that was a deliberate misrepresentation of fact, because what's clear, she said, I did not smell it. And she gesticulated by showing she did not bring the paper towel up to her face. Now, I don't know what kind of coffee that detective may be drinking, but if you all try that yourself, you let coffee spill on a paper towel, it dries, it's simply brown stained paper towel. It doesn't smell like anything. So it's a deliberate misrepresentation, but that's just one. This is not our defense. This is to point out that whatever the government and the prosecutor was and the law enforcement agents were saying is simply, to a certain extent, untrue or misleading, and therefore the case is weaker than when this judge signed the warrants. So the more I can chip away piece by piece, again, this is not the time for me to put on my defense. This is not even the motions to suppress or dismiss based on false information. I think you heard the judge make reference to Franks, which is a U.S. Supreme Court case, Franks versus Delaware, where you get a hearing, and at that hearing, the state can justify why they made false statements in the warrants, and that's the time for that, not now.
John, is she still on a curfew?
There was a suggestion made by the state that Mr. Bowman had waived jurisdiction in the case. If that issue was addressed, as you'll know, it was only addressed very briefly. The judge just wanted to know what the issue was. If it was addressed, I was prepared to have Mr. Bowman testify that he never waived jurisdiction either on the record or in chambers meeting with any judge or with the prosecutor. That was his purpose for being.
In your experience as a criminal defense attorney, what has been your knowledge of the so-called grip, you might call it, that the state has had on a defendant who has not been found innocent, not been found guilty, at this point has not even gone to trial? Can you talk about the restrictions in your experience as a defense attorney with Michelle Troconis?
Well, let me start by emphasizing that a person is presumed innocent, so nobody has to be found innocent. She is innocent as a matter of law, right? Everyone who is simply charged with a crime is presumed innocent. So let me just correct you on that. So I have not been able to gather the information as to how many people in this state charged with very serious crimes, including murder, are on GPS. I don't know if, I'll use the Michael Skakel case as an example. It's pending in this courthouse. I don't know if he's on a GPS monitor. I don't know if he's on house arrest, but certainly he's charged with an actual murder. He actually had gone to trial at least once. He's back presumed innocent, but at least there was a finding based on evidence. And my understanding is that his restrictions are substantially less. I believe that these restrictions are more like punishment. And if they are, then they're getting a pound of flesh out of her just by these kind of pre-trial restrictions. And afterwards, I'll address it at the appropriate time. But like I said, we're abiding by the court orders. Now I have an actual order that I can go to the appellate court on. Last time they gave me the right to a hearing because they continued the case. Now I will go with the substantive argument. I've ordered the transcript, and we'll go from there.
Did I hear correctly, you're seeking records from the Doulos custody case, and what's the relevance to this?
There is a report, as I understand it, I haven't seen it, but I've spoken to individuals who are familiar with it, that there was a custody study done in the divorce case that was filed with the court that specifically, as far as I know, suggested that the wife of Fotis Doulos was not the appropriate custodian of those children. and that was filed sometime in early May of 2019. The state filed a search warrant to the clerk's office to get that document. I don't know how many pages it is. I don't know what the conclusions exactly are. I know my client was interviewed for that study along with Mr. Doulos, along with numerous other individuals. And I believe that it's relevant then if for no other reason, to know what they say my client told them.
Mr. Sanders, can you comment on what exactly Michelle was doing when she leaned out of the car in that video? The memorandum said she was waving her hand on the ground. Why
Yes.
would she have done that?
She stated and again, this is the longer version of the interview on both I believe, if not on the first interview, at least on the second, maybe on the first interrogation on January 2nd, that she went along for the ride. She was on the phone and or texting with family and others. She was chewing gum. She tried to throw it out the window, got stuck on her finger, so she leaned forward to wipe it off. Wipe it off. When I watch another video where the officers are talking with Mr. Colangelo, they state that she was picking gum off the ground. Again, there is no video that says that. I'll just note there's a whole bunch of helicopters in a row, so I don't know if maybe it's I don't know, the president. I don't know. They claimed in a statement to Mr. Colangelo, which is recorded, which I also have, that she was picking gum up off the ground. It seems to me they were trying to convince Mr. Colangelo that he should sign a warrant. That's what I'm assuming was the reason for them even misrepresenting the facts to State's Attorney Colangelo, who was present. He was present in the room. I think that's about it.
Can I thank you?
Yeah.
Do you want to say something?
Yeah.
All right. This is Maricela. Your last name. Say your name.
Hi, I am Maricela. I'm Michelle's sister. I just want to reinforce that my sister is innocent and that I thank God for today's baby steps. I really thank him because I had the opportunity to come here and be together. We are a very united family and we will continue supporting her. Thank you, and again, God bless us.
Can you just say it?
Yes,
Spell
yes.
your name so
Thank
that
you.
it's correct?
Spell your name for the record, please.
Maricela Troconis.
And how do you spell Marisela?
Marisela.